Teresa Santana is currently Chief Geophysicist, Advisor and Diversity Officer at YPF S.A, the national energy company in Argentina. Her role at YPF is to ensure technical excellence in geophysics within projects, and as an advisor, she certifies seniorities for the geoscience community. She also volunteered as Diversity Officer aiming for business equal opportunities. Teresa has more than 30 years experience in the energy business, working for domestic and international companies. She worked for Shell in Argentina, Europe and the US for 20 years before joining YPF. She was engaged in diverse types of projects, from exploration, production, new business development to center of expertise, involved in seismic acquisition design, processing QC, volume interpretation to leading integrated multidisciplinary studies. While working internationally, she specialized in quantitative seismic interpretation and seismic reservoir characterization to predict reservoir properties and fluids from the subsurface. Teresa is an active mentor for several associations as SEG, EAGE, Fundación YPF, an ambassador for Women Tech Network, and a member of SEG committees, including SEG Women's Network since 2019. She received a global recognition in the category Technology Executive in Argentina at the end 2020 that recognizes women leaders in technology that are an inspiration for other women and the industry at large.
So hi everyone, I think we are online and live now. I think it's working. I'm sorry about the delay, and thank you for waiting for the Ask Me Anything session to go live. Today we have Teresa Santana with us. Teresa, thank you so much for your patience and thank you for being here today.
Not a problem, not a problem. We all know with this situation that technical issues happens, and I think that at this time we are all prepared for being patient, and that's one of the quality that we do have to have if we want to really succeed. It's really important. To conclude the things on mentoring, my advice to students is really to look for mentors, either in associations, either in your company, either in your school, in your college. I did learn a lot from my mentors. That's why I am so passionate about mentorship myself. I did have mentors during my career with whom I have still connection. I learn a lot of things from them. And what you learn is these soft skills. So the things that are so important that you don't learn at college. In the technical things, we all learn at college. But then there are lots of soft skills that are very important and crucial for your career development. And that's when mentoring takes an important role.
Yes, I do agree with that. And we, in our previous Ask Me Anything sessions, this topic about soft skills have come up very many times. So what I would like to ask you now is, which do you think are the soft skills that are more important for young professionals and recent graduates to develop in their first years as professionals?
Well, one more very, very important thing is what I was just talking about right now is being patient. I mean, the new generations, they want immediate response all the time. And being patient and really actively listening to others is crucial. That's something that I also learned a lot in my career to really plan and be patient about achievements, right? To have a plan for what you are after, but not to frustrate if you don't reach them at the time that you think it's the appropriate. So that's one. The other thing is really the teamwork. They really try to immerse with the diverse people, not just working with people like you, because it's as human being, we always tend to connect and to study, work, be friends with people that are similar to us. And in your career, you need to combine with people that think differently, because then you can be more innovative and you can achieve your goals more successful. So that could be another one, teamwork, but with a diverse, as much diverse people, a group of people as possible.
Sounds good. So I'm not sure if maybe the first part of our session was online. So I want to let people know that if they want to ask questions, go ahead in the chat for sure and start asking your questions. I have the chat open and I can read them to Teresa so that she can address everyone's questions. In the meantime, while we get some questions, I can keep asking. So when we did our introduction to you, part of the bio that I read explained that you have many years, like 30 years experience in the energy business, and that you have worked for domestic and international companies. Being domestic, the ones that are in Argentina, because people don't know you're originally from Argentina and working in Argentina right now. And I read that you had worked for Shell in Argentina, Europe, and the US, and then you went back to working in YPF in Argentina. So within the students community, we see a lot of students that are either interested in going abroad to develop a career or are already studying abroad, developing a career. So one question that I would like to ask you is, how was for you this experience between working in Argentina, in your own language, in your own culture, compared to that experience of working abroad? Which are the things that you liked and enjoy, and maybe the things that were, more difficult or challenging? And if you can, compare and contrast a little bit these two experiences that you have that I think that are super valuable.
Yeah, well, really working abroad, so having a working experience abroad makes you go out from your comfort zone. So yeah, that's the fact. So you are out of your comfort zone. You are in a place where the language is different, the culture is different. The way of working is different, all is different. So for me, that has been a great experience, and I learned a lot, but not only in the technical side, but also in as a family. When I move abroad with my family. I already had my I was already married. I having 2 kids. I also brought my dogs with me because they are part of my family.
Of course.
And it was a big move. It was a really big move. So what you really need to have is to have a common ground in your family if you are doing that, and having also agreements, prior agreements of what, because it's a big challenge for everyone involved, not just technical but personal. So what I really recommend is to think about what you are after, plan ahead with, if you are going alone, it's also a big challenge because you will not have that support. I mean, it's so important to have support when you feel that you cannot handle, and be proactive and ask for help. Asking for help is a behavior that sometimes is difficult to develop, but it's key for you to develop as a professional and as a person. You need to ask for help when you need it. So in terms of expatriation, for me and for my family, it was a big challenge, but a big success. We've really grow and make very strong relationship because of being abroad, and then returning back home. That was also a big challenge and a very difficult decision to make. So both going abroad, expatriation and repatriation, both have a different how to say, different challenges.
Maybe,
Different challenges. But for me, it's an experience that I recommend to everyone to have at least once in their life.
Sounds great. Thank you for that insight. And you were talking about family and making some commitments with what you want and what you can do. And one of the questions that I see a lot in our Ask Me Anything sessions with leaders is, how do you balance your professional life with your personal life? Especially when, for example, for our leaders, they are students and they are also leading student chapters, and they are also doing, like internships, and they are doing so many things in their professional side of life that sometimes it's very difficult to, balance things out. So what would be some points of view from you or advice from your experience to follow?
Yeah, well, in terms of balancing family and work, you need to set boundaries. My advice is that you set boundaries that you are comfortable with. Those boundaries are going to be different for different people. Those boundaries make you be 100% at your work when you are doing work, and then 100% with your family when it's family time. Another thing is you need support. I mean, you need to have agreement with your spouse to support you. So when you are 100% in your family, in your work, well, somebody has to be looking after the children or other activities you may have. Maybe it's not that you have children, but you have something else, your parents, whatever. So again, agreements between whoever is sharing the life with you is key. And if you are alone, then being consistent of these boundaries yourself. So not permitting yourself to just doing work and not having your free time, because at the end of a period of time, you will suffer for that and you will not feel happy. So happiness is a key for succeeding at your job. If you are not a happy person, you will not succeed at your profession. So that balance, I think, first of all, is your commitment, agreements with whoever you share this responsibility, and being consistent to achieve them.
Sounds great. Sounds great. And going back to, being again, I was reading in your introduction that you are at the moment the Chief Geophysicist at YPF, but also advisor and diversity officer. So I would like to go to that direction a little bit now. As we were talking before, you have worked both in Argentina and abroad. And my question would be, being a woman, have you ever felt that you are a woman working probably in a mainly male environment? Has this been different maybe in Argentina where you can talk in your own language and communicate in your, within your culture, versus being abroad? And how have you feel in general being a woman, developing your career in a probably male dominant environment?
Well, that's an excellent question, Fernanda. That's an excellent question. And yes, indeed, I always felt I was the woman in the male-dominated environment, indeed. Just before this session, I was thinking, and actually, I never have a woman leader myself. All my leaders have been male. And as I said, we need them because they are the allies that support what we are after. The thing being a woman it has been, in this industry is something that you need to cope with, and it's difficult. You need to have very strong opinions and build your self-confidence. And another thing I also advise is to have a network with other women. I have several other women colleagues with whom we support each other, and that helped really a lot. In terms of the countries, the culture, yes, indeed, it's very, very different. Being a woman in the energy business in Argentina is very different than being a woman in Europe and being a woman in the US. I didn't feel the same in the three countries I work. I work in Argentina, in the Netherlands, and in the US, in Houston. So in terms of diversity and inclusiveness, I would say that in Houston, it was the place where there were more voices heard, and there were more women leaders in the company. I didn't have a leader woman myself, but that was just coincidence. But there were many more in Shell. And well, also Shell is a company that has a lot of, it's very advanced in that topic. So that it was a kind of a very different situation in the different countries. Now coming back here at YPF, we do have lots of changes going on in the company, and in fact, I offer myself and I volunteer myself as diversity officer at YPF some years ago. So we work since 2017 we have a diversity committee. The diversity is part of the culture, and there are lots of changes and things going on. And well, I am part of that group that try to link the business, so the upstream business, with the mission and objectives of the company as a whole in terms of diversity and inclusion. So a lot of things are changing, but they are moving a little bit more slower than in other countries like in Europe or the US.
Yeah, well, that makes sense. But the good thing is that changes are coming, right? At some point.
Yeah, sure.
As women, we should probably never stop, fighting and trying to get our space that it's our space, right? So it's great that you are doing this job. It's amazing. So thank you for doing that in Argentina. I have some questions from the chat in the YouTube channel, so maybe I can ask you some questions. So Isabella Dantas is saying, thank you very much for being with us today, Teresa. What lessons can you share with us about your experience abroad and in your home country? I think I have asked something very similar. And I know she's asking as well about your decisions to return to Argentina to give back your expertise to the local community. I guess, like, how was that decision, and what moved you to trying to go back to your home country?
Yes, excellent question. Well, that was a very tough decision to make, and we have a big debate with actually my husband what to do. At that stage, our kids. When we moved abroad, our children were very little, 5 and 1. So they are both born in Argentina, but they almost never lived in our home country. So one of the reasons was to return to really for the family to be able to have a living as a family in our home country. So that was part of the decision. And really the other decision was to, in terms of expertise, I mean, I did all my career in the public schools. I mean, I went to all my career in the public education in Argentina, and then learned a lot with Shell. So I also felt that it was an opportunity to have this, again, balance between work and family. No, we are talking about the same. So returning back to Argentina to give back what I have learned abroad was a big challenge and a big desire for me. So that was the second reason why we decided to come back and give back to the community what I learned abroad. That it was a lot.
Yes, I can imagine. Yeah, that's true. That's something. I'm from Argentina as well, for those of you who don't know. And that's something that we have in Argentina, that all our education is in general public, but also for free. So we actually don't pay our undergrad studies. So yeah, there's this feeling about giving back to the community that it's great. Thank you so much for that. We have another question from Clara Capurro. She says, hi, how about geophysics in Argentina? Do you think we will have in some years the opportunity to work, and the country will give us, the students, the possibility of focusing in investigation?
Yes, I fully agree. I mean, investigation is the thing in Argentina is the difficult with the group in terms of payments, right? So that is a tough decision that you need to make. In terms of opportunity, I have several friends that are, and I'm sure Fernanda as well, that do a lot of investigation and research in Argentina. So opportunities there are. The thing is, of course, then the career development. So what you are after. I mean, there are lots of nowadays opportunities to have good mentors and advisors to go and complete your PhD. But some other students decide to just do that abroad, as Fernanda did, and well, she did it with an Argentinian as well. So it's in another country, but well, I think there is a lot of possibility, and it kind of depends on your personal decision, personal life about what you are after, not just the technical thing, but more your life as a whole.
Yes, that is true. So many decisions to make before going outside. Another question I'm getting at the YouTube channel is, how about your experience at college? I'm studying in the same place and it seems to be very nice. I guess college meaning university. When you went to university,
Yes.
how was your experience? And if you can bring some of those memories to us today.
Oh wow! Studying in la facultad, in the observatorio in La Plata, where I study, where Fernanda studied as well, is so beautiful, so nice. I have so many nice experience there because the place is just emblematic, and being going from the because we do have to have the basic studies in where we study mathematics and physics, not at the same place, so going from one place to the other, and then having our lunch behind below the trees in the green areas, just a group of 4, 5, 6, because at that times, at least when I studied, that was very long ago, in the 80s, believe it or not, we were just less than 10, right? So it was fun. I made very good friends, and study for me was just fun. Going to the library, that, well, if you know that place, the library is also an iconic place. For me, was I have the best memories of college due to that place. I mean,
Yes, I do agree with you. It's true. We both studied in the same university as well. If if I can just, add to something to what you just said, I would say to our students and students leaders, that are sometimes I feel like we are also as a student, right? And as a young professional, we are so worried about what's going to happen with our careers and what's going to happen with our after we graduate and everything. Maybe enjoying undergrad school is so important because that is where you start your networking connections. That's where you get to know people. That's where you start understanding what professional life is going to be like. So I would suggest our students to really to really enjoy that opportunity and explore
totally.
their possibilities there, right?
Totally. Well, in my case, when I started studying geophysics, what I wanted to do was my goal was to predict an earthquake. So that it was my goal. So I had no idea about the energy, hydrocarbons whatsoever. Then I enjoyed the career because geophysics is, I mean, it has so many brands where you can study, well, that you can study and really dedicate to. And before, just to get in connection with what Fernanda just said, I was not graduated yet, I was still in the last year doing my thesis, place of thesis, and I received a phone call from a professor saying, well, do you want to come to BA? I mean, our college is in 60 kilometers away from Buenos Aires itself. To help in this and that, and said, well, okay, fine, I go, and that was just the beginning of something that ends where I am now. I mean, I never planned this, but because of this phone call and getting to know what this business was about, make me just move in another direction. So you really need to be open, as Fernanda mentioned, at the college, make connection, listen to others, and then make choices and take risks and say, well, this happened, for example, and then instead of graduated, when I planned to graduate, I start doing this part-time job, and I graduated a little bit later, few months later. Doesn't matter, but I learned something else, and it opened my mind to say, well, I like this, and then you just take a risk and make a selection. So connections are key. Listen to others and open yourself to new challenges. Don't be afraid.
Yes, definitely. I do agree with that so much, especially in this moment where the energy sector is going through such a big transformation worldwide. I feel like for every geoscientist, it's very important to be open to new opportunities, new ideas, how everything is changing and evolving, right? So thank you so much for that. Yeah, such a interesting. I have another question. What career and life advice can you give to students and recent graduates?
Sorry, say it again. I didn't get.
Yes. Which career and life advice in general can you give to students and recent graduates?
Well, in that sense, well, you really need to think what is your passion. I mean, you need that. For me, that is key. Passion, being passionate about. If you are passionate about, I don't know, math, physics. Well, if you are passionate about making a difference, if you are passionate of discovering something new, well, you have to think what you are passionate about, because with passion, you are going to achieve your goal. And the career is going to be a path to go to that goal. But the thing is, you need to have that passion and that thing in middle term. I mean, not long term, because long term, nobody knows what long term is going to be. I mean, nobody knew we were going to be talking about like this 1 year, 2 years ago, because nobody knew this was going to happen. Well, this is an extreme, because the pandemic is an extreme, but still there are so many things that you cannot handle that you need to just think about what motivates you, because you need to be motivated to achieve your goal. If you lose motivation, just change gear and go in another direction. It doesn't matter. I mean, what you think 1 year, 2 years, maybe you are studying something and you find out after 2, 3 years that you have no motivation, that your passion is not very good. You are not losing the time. You gain that experience. Just change, just move a little bit and do whatever is of interest of you, where you are going to make a difference, and then you are going to succeed. In terms of which one, that is very personal. I mean, it will depend on what you enjoy. And some people enjoy giving back to others. Some others enjoy discovering new things. Some others, for example, in my case, I wanted to do something that is applicable to the society. I mean, that has an impact somewhere. But it depends. It depends on each of you. But my advice is that don't panic if you change your mind and you have to change gear and select another career. Whatever you have done before, you already have it. You learn a lot. You incorporate lots of skills. So that is not going away. Time, 2 years, 3 years, 4 years, at your age, it's a lot. Then when you are in your 50s, in your 60s, you think it's not a lot. So be patient again and just look for your passion.
Thank you so much, Teresa. That was very motivating. And I would like to, we are going back a little bit to your advisor and diversity officer role that you are having right now in your, current job. And one question that we usually have is, as a woman and as a young professional as well, because we are all starting our careers, what are some advice that you could give, young professionals to develop as women in a male environment? Let's say, for example, sometimes if they feel, for example, that they are not being heard because they are women, or if they feel like they are not, being able to get their space, or maybe they don't have a female role model, or they don't have a female boss, and they get, nervous about talking to this new male boss that they have. Is there any advice that you would give to our students in that sense?
Yeah, well, my advice first is when you do a work, there is nobody that more than you that knows about that work. So it's very common for women, and it happened to me several times, that you do your work, it's all done very good, and then your leader, that in general is a man, wants to present that to a team, to whatever. Well, don't allow that to happen. You need to be there and sit at the table. You need to sit at the table, talk nicely with your boss, with your supervisor, whoever, and say, well, I would like to be there. I would like, no, I go there. Let me ask directly. At what time is the meeting? Just ask and go and sit there. Don't be shy because it's your work. Don't let somebody else present your work. I have an anecdote that I sometimes mention, that early in my career, I did a job. It was a very long project, very important project in the jungle here in the Northwest basin in Argentina, where I was involved from the seismic acquisition design, the processing, interpretation, and then writing the well proposal. Well, when there was a time to write the well proposal, it was my first well proposal for such a big well, because it was an exploration well. Well, suddenly somebody else said, well, I will write it because I have experience. I said, well, there is always a first time. I said, no, I write it because I did all the previous steps and I did it. And so you need to talk and talk for yourself if that happened. And that was then great. I did have to stay longer and didn't take vacation for a while. Well, a lot of things I have to give back, but I did write my first well proposal and it was fine. And another advice is to find these sponsors, these allies, these men that support you, that understand, and in that situation that happened as well, that understand that that person that is trying to do that, and maybe it's doing it not in purpose, it's just because it's natural. They stand and they talk for you. So you need to get connection with these men that acts as allies and support you because they know you do a good job and you do great, because that's the first step. You need to be good. No, that's the first step. And then you need to talk for yourself and defend yourself and sit at the table.
Sounds good. And you were talking just right now about, Alice, role model, mentor. So I had two questions. A question in two parts. The first part would be, what is the difference? Maybe you can explain a little bit the difference of what these three things are and how they are similar, but how they are different. And then the second part of the question would be, you have been a mentor and a role model for so many years for so many of us students in Argentina. My question would be, if a young professional or a student is looking for a mentor or mainly a mentor, what would be some steps that you would advise that person to go through? How to reach out to someone that you would like to be your mentor, and how to approach that person in that sense?
Okay, great. Excellent question. Well, mentoring is this one-to-one sharing of experience that will be tailored against the need of any other mentee. So somebody said, well, I want to apply for a scholarship. Can you give me advice how to do it? So in my case, I have never applied myself, but I can give advice because I have friends, connection, and we can make a plan. So that is mentoring. Mentoring is kind of what everyone needs to have from the very beginning, even as a student. As a student, you need to have your mentor to say, well, this is the way you need to study, this is the way you need, maybe you can do it yourself because you are great, but sometimes you are not sure about some decisions you need to make during your career, and somebody that has more experience than you, that has passed through that before, can give advice. That advice is personal. I mean, it's not the end of the world. That's why it's a soft things. I mean, I can tell you what I think. It will be better for you, but then it's your choice and your decision to take it or leave it. That's the way mentoring works. So we talk, we have a plan, I give advice, and the other make the decision. With the advice, can take it or leave it. Then we have the sponsors or allies. The sponsors or allies are those people that will talk about you when you are not there. So if I work with somebody that I know has done a great job, and I am in a meeting and somebody's talking about doing X and Y type of job, I would say, oh, maybe we can include so and so, because I know that that person has gone to this training and has that experience and has that exposure. And that person maybe had never worked with that other person that is making the decision. So if I, in this case, that I am the sponsor, I am acting as a sponsor, didn't know you, so you don't have that networking and that chance that person will never be in the list because nobody knows that names. So you need to have that sponsor that when there is a decision to be made and when there is at the table, raise your name. It's the same with when there is a ranking or a performance review. Well, there is a discussion, and there is always discussion about the people who of where that people know. There are people that are always so low profile and they don't make connection that people just don't know. So they are not talked about. So you need those sponsors, and that is something that you earn with showing what you can do. I mean, it's not a one-to-one plan, but it's somebody with whom you work once, and it can be your mentor as well, that then become your sponsor later on. But it's completely different. It's the one that will talk about you when you are not there.
It's almost a little bit like you ask someone to be a mentor, but you cannot ask someone to be your sponsor, right? That can.
Well, you can ask people to be your sponsor, but it's more difficult. I mean, in fact, it's important that you ask for people to be your sponsor. But well, that person is going to ask you for more information. I mean, being a mentor, I mean, anyone can mail me, and I mean, I'm free for doing mentorship. Just, I mean, having a conversation, having an advice. So it's something, I mean, we have this association that had plans, but I also have done this with young professionals that I see them alone, and you immediately, when you have experience, you immediately see the potential that people have and the passion that people put in their work. And so I act as a mentor, sometimes volunteering myself and saying, well, do this, do that. Write papers, go to conferences, go to these type of meetings, interact, ask questions. I mean, it doesn't matter if you ask a question that you think is, oh, that question is not interesting. Well, it doesn't matter, just do it. Be brave, and then you get to your name rise. It's, oh, I remember that's the person that sent me an email. Don't be shy. I mean, if somebody don't respond to you immediately to an email, well, maybe it's because it's busy or whatever. Don't think it's because it's ignoring you. Don't be shy. Just write. Even with LinkedIn, I mean, LinkedIn is a great platform. Use that as a student. Set up your profile. Get connection. I also have now I remember an anecdote with a friend of my daughter that well, she had to do a work for her college, and she connect with direct messenger with whoever in the end is not in geophysics, it's in another brand, but whoever in the end turns up to be the Nobel Prize. And that person respond, of course, and it was wow at the end when that happened. Well, be brave, just send a note. People, don't be scared. People want to help. There's a lot of people that want to help.
Yes, definitely. Yes, thank you for that. And then I think a last question, and then we will let you go, Teresa, would be more for the people in Argentina, but also for people everywhere. So, as geoscientists, what are the job prospects or the branches that you think have more opportunities right now, we talk about research, but is there any other, branch in geoscience in general that you would like to mention?
Well, I think that nowadays it's really a very tough moment, especially in Argentina, for what is acquisition and processing. I mean, the acquisition of data and processing of data has lowered significantly, but the studies are not. So in terms of the energy business, my advice would be to get more into the interpretation, because when you have a downsize, there is no money to invest. So companies have less budget. So that's why acquisition and processing goes down, because you need a lot of money for that. But it's the time to do studies for the future, because these are cycles. We are always have up and downs. Well, we never have this down in our industry before. This is a huge down, but it has been a huge down globally as well. But well, it's going to go up. I mean, in fact, in the US, it has already started. So my advice would be to go into the interpretation part in the energy and specialize in some particular part. So, for example, in Argentina, most of the people don't go to volume interpretation. They continue doing this 2D, 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 and we have a volume. Well, specialize in that. Do lots of work. There are softwares that are even for free. You can try this. OpenDetect is a free platform that has lots of things that you can just download in your computer. And there are free data sets also from different areas in the world, not from Argentina, from other areas in the world. Well, play with that. Take that in your college and ask somebody for help. I can help you. Just contact me. I like volunteering. I like giving back to the students, and so I will find some time to just give tips, and then you are bright and you will move forward. I mean, it's easy for you, young generation, to go to this software. It was hard for my generation, because we had to move from the paper to the workstation. You have all that there, and there are lots of material for free.
Sounds good. Yeah, I would like to add up to what you just said, if I can. There are so many free softwares out there for energy, but also refraction, mining,
Yes.
machine learning. There are so many tools that are for free that if any student is ever interested in just developing these harder skills, just reach out to role models, but also look in the internet and browse and try to, get some expertise on that, because then when you get to a mentor and you can show your work, that's how they become allies later, right?
Exactly, because you need to be proactive. Look in the internet. You have all the tools, but have a plan of what is your passion. I insist on that. Look, think about what makes you happy. What motivates you to go further, and then you will find lots of free tools there. I also have a list, so you can contact me, and I'll give you all that as well. And as Fernando said, machine learning. I mean, there are also free classes you can take. There is so many things. Sometimes it's overwhelming, so many things. So you need to have a plan of what you want, and to say, well, this is my goal now, because if you have too many, then you don't achieve anyone. and then use that and include that in your CV and put that as an example. And then you will find this sponsor Ellie immediately, because you will shy and you will raise yourself with expertise already.
Exactly. Okay, Teresa, I think if there is any last question in the chat from the viewers, then this probably is the moment to ask it. But in the meantime, while we wait, I want to thank you again so much for being here with us today. Sorry again to our viewers and to Teresa for our technical issues at the beginning. I'm glad that we could finally get online. Thank you so much for all your time. And if you want to give like any final word for our students and leaders, I think this is a great moment to do so.
Well, first of all, thank you for this opportunity. For me, it's a pleasure to be here with all you. You students, you need to follow your dreams. Believe it or not, dreams come true. You need to work hard, be patient again, have commitments, and ask questions and make errors. I mean, you need to allow yourself to commit to have errors and learn from them. So you learn from your errors and then move on and ask as many questions as you may have. I mean, this Ask Me Anything session is just a great idea due to that, because those are the things that move you forward. If you ask, you get an answer, and if the answer doesn't fit you, well, never mind, you just did it. So be brave, be curious, don't hesitate to ask for help, and contact people that you think may help you. The no is there. If they don't reply to you, well, you try, you don't get anything back. But there is a big chance, a 50% chance, that they will do, and then you will succeed. So contact them and just go for it.
Thank you so much. Yeah, and feel free to our viewers today. Feel free also to contact the SEG Women's Network, the SEG Women's Network Students Community, and the SEG Women's Network Students Community in Argentina. For all of you that are watching from Argentina as well, we are here. We are open to help in whatever we can. And thank you once more to all our viewers, and thank you, Teresa. And I think this is the end of our Ask Me Anything session today. So looking forward to seeing everyone again soon. And thank you so much.
Bye-bye.